Speaking of Trump, he had himself a day by joining Davos, the World Economic Forum, which, as I said to Daisy yesterday, it feels like that happens nonstop. Like there's always a Davos World Economic Forum happening. It's always active. It just never seems like
G6,
they take a break.
G9, G12, G42.
Yeah.
They're always on some stage in Switzerland with some blue panel behind them and like a globe.
Yes, it is constant. And they're always flying their giant private jets to lecture all of us about climate change. So Trump joined virtually and he gave a speech. It was about 15, 16 minutes long, I think. Just have a few highlights. One of the things that he talked about was he was basically he was inviting all of these other European businesses to come and play and make stuff in America. And he was warning them what would happen if they don't. And this was showing who's boss. Here's the first clip.
I have promised to eliminate 10 old regulations for every new regulation, which will soon put many thousands of dollars back in the pockets of American families. To further unleash our economy, our majorities in the House and Senate, which we also took along with the presidency, are going to pass the largest tax cut in American history, including massive tax cuts for workers and family, and big tax cuts for domestic producers and manufacturers. And we're working with the Democrats on getting an extension of the original Trump tax cuts, as you probably know, by just reading any paper. My message to every business in the world is very simple. Come make your product in America, and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth. But if you don't make your product in America, which is your prerogative, then very simply you will have to pay a tariff, differing amounts, but a tariff which will direct hundreds of billions of dollars and even trillions of dollars into our treasury to strengthen our economy and pay down debt.
Love it.
It's interesting. I mean, people are afraid of tariffs. They're used as these are negotiation points. This is the way I look at tariffs. If we don't make it, we don't tariff it. It's that simple. We don't make it, we don't tariff it. If we do make it and they don't allow us to sell in their country and they tariff us, then we tariff the hell out of them. It's not a hard thing to do. And yes, people need to realize that the stuff that we may tariff, who pays for it is the importer, who then passes that on to the person that is going to sell it. And then those people pass that on to you. So prices in some cases may go up, but it's also happening on the other side of the world for them. And so what ends up happening is that's when the negotiation starts. And that's when things start to happen. But you've got to be willing to accept a little discomfort in certain situations. And as Americans, we're not really good at that.
It is all part of the art of the deal. And so it's just like you said, it's a negotiating tool. And I think that was pitch perfect, the way that he presented that. Look, there's huge benefits to coming and doing business in America, to making your products in America. We're going to give you low tax rates and you can decide not to do that. Here's what's going to happen. And I just love that. He has absolutely zero filter. And that was evident too when he was talking directly to some of the bank leaders. He actually made a very pointed comment to Bank of America, who has had instances in the past where they have deplatformed, debanked conservatives simply for having conservative views. And he let them know that he is onto them.
Speaking of you, and you've done a fantastic job, but I hope you start opening your bank to conservatives, because many conservatives complained that the banks are not allowing them to do business within the bank. And that included a place called Bank of America. They don't take conservative business. And I don't know if the regulators mandated that because of Biden or what, but you and Jamie and everybody, I hope you're going to open your banks to conservatives, because what you're doing is wrong.
How many people got, not only deplatformed, but you took away their earning. You took away their way to bank. You took away their way to get loans and to keep their businesses afloat, to pay for things. I mean, that's very China-esque. They've got that app. I'm frozen.
Come back. Is it me?
Maybe you're frozen. You were frozen too.
Was I frozen?
I
Okay,
was
I
moving
don't.
on. I agree. So we're both frozen. But I was just saying that, this insanity of the way that they've handled this banking. We saw it in Canada as well. That's what China does. They've got that
Right.
app. It can freeze you out of everything with one flick of a switch.
It's so terrifying. And so I'm glad he called it out. I know Bank of America afterwards, they were doing all kinds of damage control and they were like, what? We don't do that. And so the Trump War Room Twitter account like started reposting all these headlines of all the different conservatives that it happened to and plenty of evidence. And so they can't deny it. They just need to do better. Trump also spoke about getting investments from Saudi Arabia, and he's already got a promise of like 600 billion, but he's hoping for a little bit more.
That Saudi Arabia will be investing at least $600 billion in America, but I'll be asking the Crown Prince, who's a fantastic guy, to round it out to around 1 trillion. I think they'll do that because we've been very good to them.
We're just going to round that up to 1 trillion.
He's a fantastic guy. I know some of you are still mad because he had that guy turned into a slushie, and that sucks. But it's a big picture thing. You guys still thinking about that? Don't think about that. Think about all the other good things that are going on. It's a great guy, pal, friend of mine.
It's all part of the art of the deal. Again,
it is.
It's all the art of the deal.
You know what? There are people out there that we have to do business with that live in a different world and handle things differently that we don't like, but we have to do business with them. Right. And they don't like some of the stuff we do, and they have to do business with us. And we'd all like to live in utopia, but we don't.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Trump also talked, and this was important, an important point that he made. He talked about how now that the Trump administration is in office, no more censorship by the government of its citizens. Freedom is back. Here's what he said about that.
In addition, I'm pleased to report that America is also a free nation once again. On day one, I signed an executive order to stop all government censorship. No longer will our government label the speech of our own citizens as misinformation or disinformation, which are the favorite words of censors and those who wish to stop the free exchange of ideas and, frankly, progress. We have saved free speech in America, and we've saved it strongly.
Strongly. It's been strongly saved.
It's like the most bestest thing I have done since I've been here.
I mean, it kind of is. Like, between him and Elon, it's fantastic.
I love it. And I saw that the Prime Minister of Spain's like talking about, if a restaurant serves food that makes their people sick, that restaurant has to pay. And I'm like, that's not the way that works. When you're trying to play it up against the social media stuff as he compares it, I'm thinking, yeah, no, that's not the way it works. I've offered you the opportunity to have food, but you guys poison the food for each other. That's not, I just gave you the platform to come and eat, and you guys poison each other's food. It's up to you to decide which food you want to eat.
It's a good analogy. Very good analogy. What I loved most, I think, about his whole virtual appearance at Davos was that he knows he's speaking to an audience filled with climate change alarmists. Like, these are the people that are the most rabid about doing all kinds of nothing, stapling all the money to the clouds, as Daisy would say, to fight climate change. And here's what he said about his administration getting rid of the whole Green New Deal.
The ridiculous and incredibly wasteful Green New Deal, I call it the Green New Scam, withdrew from the one-sided Paris Climate Accord and ended the insane and costly electric vehicle mandate. We're going to let people buy the car they want to buy.
Yeah, he is. Love that. He said it right to them.
Absolutely.
So good. Glenn Beck had a nice summary of how his appearance went. He said President Trump's Davos speech made it very clear to the WEF, the United States is done with all the woke nonsense. Merit is back. Drilling is back. Common sense is back. America is back. Get used to it.
I love it.
Oh, damn. I love that. Love it. Love it. Love it.
There's definitely a change and some nervousness over there. And the way that they came out, and like, well, we're not scared of you. He doesn't want you to be scared of him. He wants you to be his partner. But if that doesn't work, then yeah, fear will work.
It's just such a huge change from how pathetic and weak Biden was on every front, by every measure. He had absolutely no standing. So he loved to say that he had better relationships with foreign nations than anybody else, his foreign policy expert. Everybody just thought he was useless. They were nice to him and kind to him because he was an old, demented man. And now there's a leader in charge.
They can take advantage of him.
Exactly right.
Nice to you because you're an old, doddering fool who is just like Obama, who pontificates, who loves to think that they can talk their way out of everything and just have a conversation. And sometimes, absolutely, you should start there. But you never got to the negotiation part. You always got to the pontification part. You made great statements, and then you gave into everything.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he has absolutely no balls. That's the plainest way to say it. He had no balls, and now we have a leader back in charge that has them.
Truck nuts.
Trump nuts. Exactly.